available Sergeant.
When adrenaline kicks in and desperation takes over, some criminals make the worst decision of their lives, hitting the gas and trying to outrun the law. But the eye in the sky, the dashboard cameras, and law enforcement's relentless pursuit ensure that justice never stops. Tonight, we're diving into some of the most terrifying high-speed police chases ever caught on dash cam. Real stories that will have you gripping the edge of your seat. It started as a routine traffic stop on a hot summer night in Miami, Florida, but within seconds it turned into a full-scale, high-speed pursuit. Officers attempted to pull over a silver Dodge Charger for running a red light, but instead of stopping, the driver slammed the gas, tearing through city streets at over 100 miles per hour. What the officers didn't realize in that tense moment was that the man behind the wheel, Luis Martinez, was more than just a reckless driver. He was a fugitive on the run. Just hours earlier, Martinez had been involved in an armed robbery, a crime that had already put him on law enforcement's radar. But for him, the stakes were even higher. With a criminal record and the looming threat of returning to prison, Martinez had made a chilling decision. He wasn't going to surrender without a fight. This wasn't just a high-speed pursuit. It was the desperate flight of a man willing to risk everything to avoid capture. As the chase moved onto the I-95 freeway, Martinez began using the emergency shoulder lane, dodging vehicles by mere inches and putting every car on the road in serious danger. The Florida Highway Patrol joined the pursuit, deploying spike strips ahead. And that's when things took a horrifying turn. The instant Martinez's front tires shredded, his grip on the road and his escape was gone. His vehicle spun out of control, careening wildly across 4 lanes of traffic before slamming head-on into a concrete barrier with bone-rattling force. But even as smoke poured from the wreckage, Martinez wasn't ready to give up. Ignoring the pain and the flashing police lights closing in, he threw open the driver's side door and bolted, sprinting in a last-ditch effort for freedom. It was hopeless. Officers tackled him within seconds, pinning him to the pavement. And when they searched his car, a loaded pistol and a bag stuffed with stolen cash, his reckless, high-speed escape hadn't just failed. It had sealed his fate. October 2021, Dallas, Texas. A simple failure to signal turned into a chase that lit up the night sky. It began when a white pickup truck, driven by Mark Fuller, refused to pull over. As officers attempted to box him in, he suddenly accelerated to 120 miles per hour, leading cops on a death-defying race down the I-30 freeway. What the police had yet to realize was that Fuller wasn't just a reckless driver. He was high on methamphetamine, his mind clouded by paranoia and chaos. Completely detached from reality, he weaved dangerously between vehicles, his reactions erratic and unpredictable. Each near miss was a brush with disaster, as he came within inches of causing catastrophic collisions. Horns blared, tires screeched, and yet Fuller showed no signs of slowing down. To the officers in pursuit, it was clear. This wasn't just another high-speed chase. It was a ticking time bomb. They had to bring it to an end before innocent lives were lost. That's when Texas DPS units made their move, executing a perfectly timed precision immobilization technique, pit maneuver, to bring the chaos to an end. But Fuller had one last, deadly surprise in store. As his truck spun wildly out of control, tires screeching against the asphalt, it careened straight toward the shoulder, where a massive fuel tanker sat idling. The impact was instant and catastrophic. Metal crumpled, and within seconds, a deafening explosion sent a towering fireball erupting into the night sky, turning the highway into an inferno. Officers scrambled back, the heat blistering as flames engulfed the wreckage. What had started as a dangerous pursuit had just turned into a scene of pure devastation. By sheer luck, the tanker driver had stepped out of his vehicle just minutes before the catastrophic impact. Fuller, however, wasn't as fortunate. Trapped inside the mangled wreckage, he was at the mercy of the raging flames. Officers rushed in, battling intense heat and thick smoke, managing to pull him from the wreck just moments before the fire consumed his truck entirely. His reckless decision had cost him more than just his freedom. It had nearly cost him his life. Have you ever witnessed a high-speed police chase in real life? Share your experience in the comments below. If you know anything about Los Angeles, you know high-speed pursuits happen almost daily. But in 2019, one chase had everyone holding their breath. The chaos began when officers attempted to pull over a stolen black Mustang in Compton. But instead of surrendering, the driver had other plans. With a sudden roar of the engine, he slammed his foot on the gas, launching the muscle car into a full-throttle escape. Within seconds, the Mustang was tearing down the 110 freeway at a blistering 140 miles per hour, weaving dangerously through traffic. The pursuit quickly escalated as police helicopters took to the sky, tracking the reckless suspect from above. On the ground, officers watched in tense anticipation as the driver swerved wildly between lanes, barely avoiding catastrophic collisions. One wrong move at these speeds, and the chase could end in devastation. For 40 minutes, the suspect evaded law enforcement until LAPD tried a risky move, deploying spike strips on a bridge. The Mustang hit them at full speed, sending the vehicle into a violent spin-out. What happened next was caught on multiple cameras and left even seasoned officers in shock. The high-speed chase came to a violent and heart-stopping conclusion when the stolen Mustang veered off the freeway, crashing through a guardrail and plummeting 40 feet onto the street below. The impact was brutal. Metal crunched, glass shattered, and debris scattered across the pavement. Officers rushed to the wreckage, bracing for the worst, expecting to find the driver lifeless inside. But against all odds, the suspect miraculously emerged, battered and bleeding, yet somehow still on his feet. As they cuffed him, his history came to light. A repeat offender with an extensive rap sheet, now facing the reality of spending the rest of his life behind bars. His reckless flight had sealed his fate. Most police chases happen on open roads, but what happens when a suspect decides to turn straight into oncoming traffic? That's exactly what unfolded in Atlanta, Georgia, when 26-year-old Brandon Walker stole a sports car and led police on a white-knuckle pursuit. As officers closed in, Walker made a desperate and reckless decision. He veered sharply, steering his vehicle directly onto the wrong side of the freeway. Now, he wasn't just fleeing the police. He was barreling head-on toward unsuspecting drivers at highway speeds. Dash cam footage captured the sheer panic as motorists desperately swerved onto the shoulder, some barely avoiding catastrophic collisions by mere inches. Horns blared, tires screeched, and chaos erupted as officers scrambled to respond. Every second that passed brought the terrifying possibility of a deadly crash, turning the high-speed pursuit into a full-blown nightmare. Recognizing the imminent danger to innocent lives and knowing they had to act fast, Georgia State Patrol officers executed a high-risk pit maneuver. In an instant, Walker's car spun out of control, skidding violently onto the median. Stranded with nowhere left to go, he made a last-ditch attempt to escape by rushing toward a nearby vehicle, hoping to carjack an unsuspecting driver. But before he could even open the door, officers moved in swiftly, deploying a taser. The electric jolt sent him crashing to the ground, bringing his reckless, life-threatening run to a swift and shocking halt. Now, Brandon will be facing time behind bars to reflect on the poor decision that led him to flee from the police. As we all know, Las Vegas is a city of high stakes and big risks. But one night, in 2022, the biggest gamble wasn't happening inside a casino. It was happening on the streets. A stolen SUV driven by Derek Sanders roared down the iconic Las Vegas Strip at a heart-stopping speed of over 110 miles per hour. The neon lights of the casinos flashed by in a blur as tourists on the sidewalks watched in disbelief and terror, unsure of whether they were witnessing a deadly spectacle. Officers, realizing the severity of the situation, had no choice but to act quickly. They set up a blockade at a major intersection near the Bellagio, hoping to stop Sanders in his tracks. But Sanders, desperate and determined, showed no signs of surrender. Instead of slowing down, he barreled through the blockade, crashing into a police cruiser with devastating force. The impact sent the cruiser careening wildly into a crowd of bystanders. Miraculously, no one was killed or seriously injured, but the crash only escalated the chaos. With the crowd in shock and officers scrambling to regain control, Sanders' reckless flight was far from over. This pursuit was about to take an even more dangerous turn. In a final frantic bid to escape, Sanders veered his stolen SUV down a narrow side street, hoping to lose the pursuing officers. But his desperation clouded his judgment. Misjudging the sharp turn, he lost control of the vehicle, sending it plowing straight into the iconic fountains of Caesar's Palace. The SUV crashed into the water with a deafening splash, coming to a halt amid the cascading jets. Officers, now closing in, swarmed the scene with weapons drawn, surrounding the wreckage. Sanders' ill-fated run through the glitzy streets of Las Vegas had come to a spectacular and disastrous end. His reckless gamble had hit the ultimate jackpot of failure, and now, with no way out, he was finally caught. High-speed chases aren't just a Hollywood spectacle. They're real, dangerous, and often deadly. From reckless criminals to desperate fugitives, every pursuit tells a story of bad decisions, near misses, and justice catching up. Which of these chases shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more pulse-pounding stories. Stay safe out there.